During the hitman's mission, a woman blocked his view, making him quickly adjust the scope to the target, but he couldn't resist sneaking another glance. He realized this wouldn't work, so he quickly steadied his mind. He then looked at his watch. Heart rate, his best state. Carl gripped his gun and focused, ready to kill in one shot, never having missed before. As the tycoon reappeared in sight, Carl decisively pulled the trigger, but at the critical moment, the lady suddenly moved, blocking the bullet. Carl quickly reloaded for another shot, but the bodyguard had already spotted his position and swiftly closed the curtains. The best sniper shot usually has only one chance. Carl swiftly packed up his gun, cleaned up, and rode his scooter as police cars roared past. By the time police arrived, Carl had left. He discarded the magazine and gear, took a shortcut, tossed his helmet into the river, erasing all evidence. He then went to a convenience store, used the restroom to quickly change clothes and clean himself, to leave no trace. He even carefully shaved. He sprayed a lot of cologne before leaving and walked out clean and brisk. Booked a taxi to the airport. Before entering, he wiped his handgun and discreetly tossed it into a trash bin. At security, he noticed a police dog staring at him. Though Carl cleaned his sin, he avoided confronting the police dog. He decisively abandoned his flight, went to the restroom, thoroughly wiped his skin and the sink he used. Knowing details are crucial, Carl was never careless. He then booked another flight. As he was about to board, his boss called, ordering him not to. Carl knew that a failed assassination of a major target could result in the hitman's elimination, so he might be hunted. After hanging up, Carl removed the SIM card and broke the phone. Even so, Carl remained vigilant on the plane. He constantly monitored his surroundings and noticed a man in sunglasses watching him. Upon landing, Carl used another alias for a connecting flight. Coincidentally, Sunglasses Man also transferred. In the same waiting area, Carl's alarm bells rang. He suspected the man was following him. Carl didn't take any risks. He was scheduled for a morning flight, booked an airport hotel, and ordered dinner. After confirming it was a waiter, Carl cautiously stood by the door, still on alert. He wasn't pretending to be weak. He needed some weapons. He placed a glass on the door in the band that played by the door, so any opening would alert him with a sound. Carl took the knife, sat down, and turned off the light. Luckily, the night passed without incident. The man didn't reappear. Carl returned to the Dominican Republic. His car was outside the airport, but Carl remained vigilant. He kept changing his route, staying alert, and avoided, because at any time a gun barrel may appear. After detours, Carl returns home. Arriving home, he noticed two large footprints, not his wife's. Cigarette butts nearby indicated someone had been waiting outside his door. This is not burglary, it's an assassin's style. Carl realized he was a target, grabbed his gun, sneaked into the courtyard undercover, and found footprints near the house. This indicates he entered. Carl crouched and ran inside. Rock music was playing, but his wife was missing. Carl immediately ran to the bedroom, finding chaos and bloodstains. Carl quickly called his wife and learned that she was hospitalized. Carl's brother-in-law said the two assailants were ruthless, and seeing she was barely holding on, they left in a green taxi. Carl immediately transferred his wife to a private hospital. He started digging as soon as he got home. As an elite assassin, he had hidden many emergency supplies at home, and known to his wife. After grabbing the necessary weapons, Carl dressed as a tourist and drove to search for the green taxi. After finding it, Carl noted the taxi's company. At night, he went to the company, pretending to inquire urgently. Then he stepped back, donned stockings, raised his... The caretaker opened the door and was shot. Carl then entered the company and checked all taxi records. The car was at his house 2 days ago. Found the car owner was a curly-haired guy. Carl had all the useful information, but to cover his true motive, he messed up the office and scattered some cash to stage a burglary. Then he left. The next morning, he waited at the garage and followed the curly-haired guy. After a distance, He got off and pretended. While Curly was driving, Carl pulled out a gun. Terrified, Curly quickly handed over his wallet, but Carl wasn't interested. He mentioned the passengers from 2 days ago. The targets were a burly man and a slender woman. After landing their private jet, they took a cab to a secluded home for an hour. He didn't ask any further. What did they do inside? Curly told everything, but the more he said, the closer he got to death. Carl didn't know who they were, but his boss must have known since only he knew Carl's home address. Then, Carl flew to New Orleans. He had 6 warehouses filled with weapons here. He took a handgun, 2 bullets, and a new passport, and replaced his car's license plate. Now, except for the real weapons, everything about him was fake. The boss lived in a secure apartment, requiring facial recognition via CSED to enter. Carl had to disguise as a cleaner, waiting outside for an opportunity. Quickly, a delivery man opened the door, and Carl hurriedly followed his prepared trash bin. The delivery man got off on the 4th floor, and Carl followed. The boss lived there in a single unit. As the delivery man opened the 4th floor door, Carl began to familiarize himself. After the delivery man knocked, the door opened in 7 seconds. Carl quickly peeked and saw it was the boss's secretary. Just before the courier exited, Carl pretended to drink water. The courier didn't notice and left. Carl timed it again, then, in the last second, left the trash bin outside and entered with a gun and toolkit. The secretary was terrified upon seeing Carl, but his target was the boss. Carl took out rope, had the secretary tie the boss, then hide herself in the bathroom. But Carl left the door ajar, keeping an eye on the secretary. On the surface, Old Black is a lawyer, but he's actually a hitman boss. Carl's wife was severely injured because someone hired Old Black. 2 days ago, Carl failed to assassinate a tycoon. The client reordered, wanting to warn Carl to be more careful next time. Carl wanted to know the customer's identity, but the boss wouldn't reveal it. Carl immediately took out an air gun and nailed his computer and phone. Seeing this, the boss quickly said the client's info was in the computer. Now truly lost, Carl doesn't believe this story, and shoots 3 steel nails into Black's chest. And if he doesn't pull them out in 6 minutes, he will suffocate. Despite being on the brink of death there, he insisted he would never betray his clients. Just 3 minutes in, Black collapsed. Carl quickly grabbed a newspaper, carefully placed it under Black to catch the blood. Unexpectedly, old HEI, secretly smoking, died suddenly of a heart attack within 6 minutes. Calmly, Carl brought in the trash bin and put the boss inside, cleaning up the scene. Then he opened the bathroom door. The terrified secretary begged for her life. Carl lets the secretary go, then pushes the body and gets in the elevator with her. But then, 2 people entered the elevator. She knew Carl's ruthlessness. Any move would get her killed instantly. The secretary took Carl home and found the hit orders. On the back were 2 phone numbers belonging to his pursuers, the Al and Noel. The other order contained information about the client, Edward. The secretary thought Carl would spare her. On the stairs, Carl swiftly broke the secretary's neck. It looked like an accidental fall. Later, Carl took the Old Black body to his warehouse for disposal. Old HEI, weighing pounds, was packed into a 10-gallon vinegar barrel and finally thrown into the sea. Carl thoroughly cleaned the vehicle, changed plates, and set out to find Biao. Better a hunter than the hunted. Upon arrival, Carl rented a car with a fake ID and scouted Biao's house. After discovering Biao had a large dog, he bought steak, sedatives, and more. That night, Carl sneaked near Biao's house. Sure enough, the dog barked immediately, but Carl used steak soaked in more beer and sedatives, and the dog ignored him. Carl confidently entered through the front door and felt relieved seeing the dog asleep. As soon as he entered the room, Biao launched an attack. Caught off guard, Carl was beaten badly. Biao, with his muscular build, looked like a professional tough guy. Carl is doomed, so he grabs the iron hook by the bed and hooks it into Puma's muscles. Unexpectedly, Biao was tough too. He endured the pain and reached for a gun. Carl couldn't withstand the firepower, hurried into the room, found the gun under the bed. As Biao reached the doorway, Carl was already prepared. Carl managed to kill Biao, but the gunshot woke a sleeping dog. Realizing it had failed by being greedy, the dog ran into the room. Seeing its dead owner, it whimpered and charged at Carl. Just as the dog was about to bite him, Carl nimbly jumped outside, then lit a torch and threw it into the house. Although the dog witnessed it, Carl believed it wouldn't leak anything. Carl cleaned himself in the airport restroom, then prepared to kill Cotton Swab. After targeting, she followed. Seeing her enter the restaurant for a date, Carl followed. When a woman is killed, her husband or boyfriend is usually the first suspect, so Carl had no concerns. She sat in her seat and quickly pulled out a gun. Cotton Swab froze. Knowing she was doomed, she requested to finish her last meal. Carl still has humanity. Then, the kid's lady requested a final romantic walk. She tried to draw her hidden gun, but he was emotionless. Quick resolution was his style. Killing to peers made Carl reflect. Though they risked their lives and meticulously handled the site, thinking they were hunters, they also became prey. Carl's mission wasn't over. Edward, who ordered the hit, was a true mastermind. He is a Chicago millionaire, travels in a bulletproof car. Carl couldn't approach directly. Before the garage door closed, he slipped in, trying to use the stairs, but the door was locked. Carl couldn't open it, but he photographed the lock and ordered a matching key remotely. The next day, Carl's copied key arrived. Then, he followed Edward to a gym. Passing by a janitor, Carl tried to snatch the keys but got caught on his clothes. Carl pretended to apologize, successfully swiped the key, then entered the locker room and opened Edward's locker. He took a keycard from his clothes and quickly duplicated it. Then, Carl left the gym, used the bought key to enter from the garage, and used the duplicated keycard to enter Edward's apartment. Seeing Carl burst in, Edward thought it was a robbery and immediately complied. Turns out, he hired him to kill the billionaire. However, when Edward learned of Carl's failed mission, he didn't pursue responsibility. He was Carl's boss, Old Black, who suggested to Edward that paying another would resolve the matter and keep Edward out of it. So, Edward transferred another. He didn't know how Old Black would handle the aftermath. Carl then understood why Old Black kept Edward's information secret. It was Old Black who wanted to warn him, not Edward. If he confesses, he'll die worse. Carl didn't kill Edward, knowing Edward wouldn't be foolish enough to offend an assassin who can enter his home freely. After this turmoil, Carl realized that a killer's fate always alternates between killing and being killed, so he decided to retire, stop killing, and live peacefully with his wife. Once a killer, never at ease. Even in sunglasses, Carl never closed his eyes, always observing his surroundings and staying alert to everyone's actions. The path of life may be long, but only the road truly traveled reflects the future. As many enemies as kills, no matter how he hides, his future remains full of threats and unrest.